Jan de Jong. Jan de Jong zaslužan je što je Hrvatska među 10 država na svijetu koja je uvela vize za digitalne nomade i uvrstila ih u zakone. Suosnivač je i predsjednik Udruženja digitalnih nomada Hrvatske. Sa 22 godine osnovao je svoju prvu firmu M+ Group, koja danas važi za jednog od najvećih poslodavaca u regiji. Uspjeh je ponovio sa firmom Web Power Adria, koja je danas vodeći e-mail poslužitelj u regiji. Predavanje na temu Living the Croatian Dream.
Dobar dan svima. Good afternoon. I would first of all like to begin with thanking the organization of IT Reboot for inviting me to come over here to speak. So far I've only had a really great experience, such a warm welcome from all of you guys, so thank you so much for that. And I'm actually really grateful for the opportunity to be able to share a few words with you here today. And it's really great to see that most of the people in this room are younger than I am. A lot of young people in the room. That's really great. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because, as you probably know, when I moved to Croatia 16 years ago already, the population over there was about 4.5 million. And today we are left with 3.88 million. And the same applies here in Bosnia-Herzegovina, where, if I'm not mistaken, I think over the past 15 years, population here has declined from approximately 3.7 million to 3.2 million. And the other day I mentioned that to my 9-year-old son, and I could see in his eyes that he was completely shocked. And he goes, "Dad, how is it possible that so many people have died?" And I told him obviously that those people didn't die, but that they had simply moved to other countries, mostly very rainy countries, like the Netherlands and Ireland and Germany. I guess we all know the reasons why people are moving. And let me just say that I don't judge. As a matter of fact, I'm one of those that left his home country in order to find happiness and opportunities abroad. I just happened to find them in Croatia. As a boy, I was always dreaming about moving to the United States, where I wanted to start businesses with the idea of living the American dream. But as I grew a little older myself, I kind of started disliking the United States. And somehow I ended up in Croatia, where nowadays I live the Croatian dream, as I call it. And very often people are asking me, "Jan, how did you do it? What is the key to success? How did you end up living the Croatian dream?" And when they ask me that question, I always answer them the following. Number one, be different. You, me, all of us, we are all unique. Yet somehow we are all trying so hard to fit in and to act and behave like everybody else. But there is great power in being different. Because if you act and behave like everybody else, you will always end up getting what everybody else gets. So be different. Number two, be fearless. We always try to hold on to the things that we know. And change is always very scary. But the only thing that we can truly control is the way that we respond to the things that are happening around us. And if you have confidence in your ability that you can correctly respond to the things that are happening to you, then there is no need to be scared. So be fearless. And number three, Professor Tatic already mentioned it, get uncomfortable. If you want something you never had, you have to do something you have never done. In other words, there is only growth and progress outside of your comfort zone. So get uncomfortable. Now, I could be standing here and give you textbook examples on what that means or how to do that. What I would rather do is take you with me on my journey on how I moved from the Netherlands to Croatia, started living the Croatian dream by being different, fearless, and by getting uncomfortable. And that journey for me started back in 2006 when I co-founded M+ Group. And M+ Group is a company that was specialized in providing contact center services. So in the beginning, we started selling products and services over the phone. And over time, we also became, let's say, the customer support of the largest companies in the country, like Telecom. So if you needed customer support, you would call the 08 store number, and then you would get one of my colleagues on the phone. Now, I could speak for hours about all the ups and downs that we had to go through. How we had to fight for survival month after month for years. How I had to pour in all my savings into the business in order to pay for salaries. How I just doubled up my capacity, and a couple of months later, I lost my largest client. As you can hear, times were really tough. But I knew that we were moving into the right direction. Year on year, we were doubling our revenues, and fast forward, 9 years later, the company I had co-founded in Split employed more than 400 people in Croatia. And then I got an offer to sell my business. Well, I knew that by accepting an offer like this, that this would lead me straight back into discomfort. I would have to start all over again from scratch. I would have to reinvent myself because of the non-compete. I was no longer allowed to start a call center. And at that very moment, I didn't even know what I was going to do next. But I accepted the offer, and the reason why I was at ease with that decision was because over the years I had learned some valuable lessons. Each time that I would put myself in uncomfortable situations, I would get to meet new people and learn new things. I would get to discover new places, and I would get to create something of value. And I realized that that is what makes me happy and gives me purpose. Right after I sold my business, I started having a lot of mixed feelings. On one hand, of course, I was happy and proud that I was able to build a business of that size and to make an exit from it. But on the other hand, I was feeling very scared. And I remember a conversation that I had with my wife when I asked her, have I, at the age of 31, already achieved the peak of my entrepreneurial career? Is this what I did with M+ Group? Is this the biggest thing that I will ever do in business? Is there perhaps something out there in the future that can overshadow what I've already done in the past with M+ Group? And my wife responded to me in a way where she said, first of all, you need to ask yourself what it means to do something big. Does that mean big revenues? Does that mean big number of employees? Or should you maybe be thinking along the lines of doing something where you can leave a big social impact? And those words stayed in the back of my mind, and after giving it some time, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to put myself through hardship again, and through my entrepreneurial efforts, I wanted to do things where I could leave a big social impact on the country where my 4 children were born and where I had planned my future. So what to do next? The first thing I did next is I started a company called Webpower Adria. And just like in 2006 with the contact center, with Webpower Adria, we again enjoyed first mover advantage. Meaning that we were the first company locally present in the region to be specialized in email marketing and marketing automation. And during the first few years, this company was growing steadily, let's say in line with expectations. And then, just like with everybody else, all of a sudden, we got hit by this global pandemic, COVID, stuck in lockdown. And at that very moment, my pipeline looked phenomenal. I had huge companies ready to sign up for my services. And then the first phone call came. Jan, we don't know how this is going to develop with the global pandemic. For time being, we can't start working together. And then the second phone call came. Jan, we had to close all our shops. Right now, we have no need for any marketing services. We can't start working together yet. And I remember thinking by myself, how am I going to respond to this? And I started thinking real hard about my business and about this country, Croatia. Croatia, a country that for more than 20% of its GDP depends on tourism, meaning people coming into the country and spending their money here. Now, what would you do if all of a sudden those revenue streams, they dry up? And for myself, I made a parallel with what that would mean to, for example, a family. Let's say you get fired. What is the next thing that you do? In my opinion, if there is less money coming in, you need to make sure that there is less money going out. And the same thought I had about this country. If there is less money coming in, we need to make sure that there is less money going out. Especially not to be buying products and services abroad that we could be buying here, locally. And that was my inspiration to start a Web Power Buy Local campaign, Kupujmo Hrvatsko campaign, where one day on LinkedIn I wrote a post that said, I, Jan de Jong, hereby solemnly swear that for every 25 companies that will switch from services like MailChimp to Web Power, that I was going to hire one full-time employee in Croatia. And that post got so much traction and got covered by all the media, resulting that in the middle of a global pandemic, we were able to onboard 50 new clients, opening up 2 new positions. Well, around the same time, I was asked to participate in a virtual conference called Tourism 5.0. And at that conference, I was going to get the question out of all questions. And that question was, what can we do in Croatia to turn this country into a year-round tourism destination? Now, I had to be very honest with myself and admit that I have 0 experience working in tourism. So what I did is I called up a very good friend of mine, Paul Bradbury, the owner of Total Croatian News, and he writes a lot about tourism. And I asked Paul, can you please send me some articles that I can read? Perhaps tomorrow, during that virtual conference, I might even sound smart. And Paul sends me over those articles, which I started reading until late in the evening, and all of a sudden, my eyes fell on 3 words: digital, nomad, tourism. And I thought by myself, this is it. This is what we need to do as a country. If we are opening up our borders every year to welcome 20 million tourists, then why would we not open up our borders to welcome remote work professionals, digital nomads who would want to come to the country not just for a couple of days, but for several months, even all the way up to 1 year? And I mentioned that during the conference. The same evening, that part got covered on the evening news on Dnevnik. And after that, on my LinkedIn profile, I started promoting Croatia to be a perfect destination for remote workers to come here, live here, and to work from here, but for foreign companies and foreign clients. And then one Saturday morning, I woke up early, kids were still in bed, which was also really unique. And I thought by myself, you know what? I'm just going to ask him. I'm going to ask the Prime Minister of Croatia, Andrej Plenković, in an open letter on LinkedIn, if he would be so kind to consider introducing a digital nomad visa. And again, with so much support from the LinkedIn community, all the media started writing about this. And a couple of weeks later, I could indeed confirm that my message was heard. Because I was getting a phone call from Moep. At first I thought they were going to kick me out of the country. But luckily they invited me to come over for a meeting, giving me the opportunity to pitch the idea of introducing such visa. And then something truly amazing happened. First of all, they right away understood how big of an opportunity this was for Croatia. And secondly, they told me in that meeting that they were just about to make some changes to the Alien Act, to the Foreigners Act, and that this would probably be the perfect moment to tag along with additional legislation, and that we could probably do this rather fast. Pazite. 44 days after my open letter on LinkedIn, I also had an opportunity to meet with the Prime Minister himself, who during that meeting told me that he believes that this is where the world is going to, that more and more people will start working fully remote, and that more and more companies are going to be open to the idea of having their staff working fully remote, and that we as a country should be among the first countries in the world to welcome them by granting a staying permit. Well, in the months that have followed, I've been working extremely hard with 7 ministries, and I'm super happy and super proud to share with you all that as of January 1st, 2021, Croatia became the 2nd country in Europe and the 7th country in the world to welcome remote workers by granting them a staying permit up till 12 months, during which they shall not be paying any income tax in Croatia in order to avoid double taxation. And there he is, the big boss of the country, with a tweet making the announcement. Like I already mentioned during the panel earlier, up until now we have received nearly 1,500 applications for the digital nomad permit, coming from individuals from 60 different countries, obviously all non-EU countries. And I believe that this is probably one of the biggest opportunities for Croatia. At this very moment, I think it's fair to say that at any given time, there's between 3,000 and 8,000 digital nomads in the country spending their salaries in our economy. Now you might wonder, Jan, where do you get the inspiration to do the things that you do? And the answer is very simple. I talk with people. And when I talk with people, I listen to their concerns. I listen to what they're not happy about. And I listen to what they believe we should improve or even start in this country. It is those people that open up my eyes and show me opportunities. Very often, it's not the experts that will come up with solutions, because otherwise they would have already done so. It's the people that are impacted the most by the problem that will eventually step up and start fixing things. Now, like I said, I talk with people. And when I talk with people in Croatia, there's always one subject that we speak very passionately about. And that subject is food. But when we speak about food, it's those people that tell me that we as a country are missing out on a great opportunity, which is that we should be exporting more. We should be feeding Europe, they tell me. Well, unfortunately, the reality is quite different. Way in the past, before I moved to Croatia, Croatia used to produce enough food to feed an entire region. And today, sadly, Croatia is not even producing enough food to feed its own people. And after that had been frustrating me long enough, I decided that it had to be me to step up. I wanted to bring solutions for a global problem, which is how to feed a growing world population in a nutritious, reliable, and in a sustainable way. Now, there happens to be one country known for bringing such solutions. And that country is the country where I was born and raised. It's the Netherlands. The Netherlands, with nearly 10,000 hectares of high-tech greenhouses, is after the United States, the second largest exporter of food in the world. And that country is smaller than Croatia in square kilometers. So I asked myself the question, if the United States can be first, if the Netherlands can be second, can Croatia perhaps be third? And that was my inspiration why I started a company called Crop Hrvatska. And with Crop Hrvatska, it is our mission to make sure that we depend less on importing food, and ultimately it's our goal to help turn Croatia back into a food exporting nation again, like it once was. And we are currently developing a project where we plan on building an 8-hectare, so 80,000 square meters, high-tech greenhouse in Virovitica. It's an investment of approximately 30 million euros, where we plan on producing tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, and this will generate approximately 100 jobs in a city that currently has one of the highest unemployment rates in the country. Now, before I leave this stage, there is just one other subject that I just want to touch upon. And that is that I personally believe that Croatia, and perhaps also the region, that we have all the ingredients to offer our citizens among the highest standards of living in Europe. And I turned it into my own personal mission, that through my entrepreneurial efforts, I can help prepare Croatia for the next generation. So that my children and all the other children in Croatia don't have to move abroad to rainy countries to find their happiness and opportunities, but that they can find it at home in Croatia. And I'm convinced that we can achieve this if we are prepared to be different, fearless, and ready to get uncomfortable. Thank you so much. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer. Yeah.
Hello, thank you for such an inspirational story. It's incredible to see such young entrepreneurials who don't get beaten down when their companies don't succeed or when they move on. It's incredible that you had these ideas going because you were passionate about something you love and wanting to leave something for the future generation. My question is, how you dealt with moving from the Netherlands to Croatia? Was it hard to get used to that mentality? How did you know what the people needed there, since you were from such a different environment and everything? I want to know your personal struggle through that, because I'm sure there's some other young people here who have done that or are going through something similar, or in case they go through that, to know at least remotely how to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I cannot deny that this was easy or difficult. I mean, this was really very difficult. But the good thing, I think, was that I moved when I was really young. I was 22 years old when I moved to Croatia. And I think that I was very adaptable. You know, one of the things that the Netherlands is very known for in our mentality is that we are very punctual. You know, if we meet each other at 8 o'clock, we meet each other at 8 o'clock, and not 10 past 8, and definitely not 9 o'clock. And then I happened to move to Split, out of all places. So I think that in Dalmatia we are kind of characterized as lazy, and showing up late is a very common thing. And in the beginning, yeah, this was very frustrating to me. And over the years, I just learned to accept it. And actually, Paul Bradbury, the man that I referred to earlier, the owner of Total Croatian News, he has a very beautiful saying, and it says, don't try to change Dalmatia, but do expect Dalmatia to change you. And I think that that is really true. I really think that, that I had to adjust myself to be living here. And then once you embrace this lifestyle, yeah, then for me it's very hard to go back to the Netherlands. Every time when I go back to the Netherlands, I feel that I'm no more a local in the Netherlands. Even though, I mean, I feel kind of like stuck in between. I'm no longer a local in the Netherlands, and still I'm a foreigner in Croatia. Also because my Croatian language skills are not fluent. I mean, razumijem puno I pričam malo hrvatski. Still, yes, well, after 16 years, you know, could have perhaps been on a higher level, but it's a very difficult language, especially the grammar part. And I think that if you really want to fully integrate into a country, then learning the language is definitely something that is an important part of that. So I will always have a feeling of being a foreigner here in Croatia, but no longer a local in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that answer, and thank you for coming all the way here to share this inspirational story. Personally, it helped me a lot because I'm on an entrepreneurial journey, and this really opened my eyes in a different way. Thank you.
When I look at the audience and I see so many young faces, it fills my heart, and I feel very blessed that I'm in a position to address you all and to speak about this, because you know what they say, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And to me, Croatia or this region is that other side of the fence. And very often it's difficult for locals to understand what you have. And very often you will also see that once you would move to countries like Ireland or the Netherlands, you will actually come to see what you miss when you're back home in this region. And for me, this is a perfect region to raise a family. It's very safe, the lifestyle is amazing, and that's something that unfortunately I can't say about Western Europe. No. I have a question. Yeah, anybody else? Okay.
Is there any possibility that digital nomads will get Croatian citizenship after some time spent in Croatia?
No, not through the digital nomad visa program. So this is not a pathway to citizenship. As a matter of fact, after 1 year, right now it's not possible to even renew the permit. So you have to leave the country for 6 months, and after that you can reapply. Yeah.
Thank you.
So no. Unless they find a partner to get married with, and then you can change your status. That's my biggest recommendation. It's a very simple answer. I will support Croatia at any given time, at any match, unless they're playing against the Netherlands. Then I have to support the Netherlands. And I'm happy to share that my 9-year-old son, whose mother is Croatian and father is Dutch, that I trained him well from the beginning onwards to only support the Netherlands when they're playing against each other. Yes.
Well, firstly, I'd like to thank you for such a motivational speech. It really means a lot for us young people who are just starting our life journey to hear from such an ambitious point of view that we could be the changes in this world. So thank you so much. And also I'd like to ask you about your educational background, because you haven't mentioned that. And also, do you plan on starting any businesses in Bosnia or expanding already existing ones to our region?
So I studied marketing at the University of Leiden. So I've always had a great passion for marketing and sales and business development. These are the things that I really enjoy doing. To answer your question about doing business in Bosnia-Herzegovina, as a matter of fact, about a year ago I was in Orašje. So that's on the, obviously, I mean, I don't have to explain you where that is. You should know better than I do. And there I visited a completely destroyed and abandoned greenhouse where they used to grow vegetables. And because of the floods that they had over there, everything got destroyed. And I'm speaking with the owner. She's very interested after she learned our plans with crop and that we want to build the greenhouses in Croatia. She's very interested in actually selling her property, her land to us so that we can make an investment there in rebuilding the greenhouse. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a great opportunity also because on that land plot there is actually geothermal heat. So that means that there's hot water in the ground, and that we can use that instead of burning gas, Russian gas, to warm up your greenhouse. You can actually take hot water out of the ground, which is pretty much free of charge, so it's a lot cheaper and it's more sustainable. And that is an opportunity that is being offered in the entire northern part, let's say Slavonian area of Croatia, but also the part of Bosnia and Herzegovina just below that. You have geothermal heat, and just like I think that in the future, fresh water, that we also have a lot here, will be the future oil, and geothermal heat will be the future gas. So I think that you have a lot of really great natural resources that could be used for becoming a very significant producer of fresh vegetables. And then if you look at the geographical location, and if you take, for example, 400, 500 kilometer radius from Slavonia or northern part of Bosnia and Herzegovina, you have Beograd, Budapest, you have Ljubljana, you have Vienna, you have Zagreb. So you have millions of people to feed. And those people are right now mostly getting their vegetables from either the Netherlands or from Spain. So you have a lot of actually competitive advantage in this area if you would be able to manage that. And of course, you know, bureaucracy is often something that people bring up as a showstopper, or it makes it very difficult to start a business. And whenever I think about that, yeah, bureaucracy is not easy here. But at the same time, for example, I would never start a greenhouse in the Netherlands because there's already 10,000 hectares over there, and there's so much competition. And then if you look at this region, there's pretty much no competition. Right now, I think in entire Croatia, there's 65 hectares of high-tech greenhouses. So I can start something like that, I can continue to develop it, and if I do it very well, then maybe in 10 years from now or 15 years from now, I could potentially be a very strong market leader. And that opportunity has already been long gone in the Netherlands. You cannot do that. And the flip side, of course, the other side of the medal is that you have to deal with this bureaucracy. And for that, I simply surround myself with very smart people that love to handle paperwork, something that I don't enjoy doing. So I have a great lawyer, I have a great accounting office, I have a great company that is handling the fundraising, that is supporting me with the fundraising. And they simply believe and they want to follow my ideas and my vision that I have for this company. And then I'm kind of like the bridge between the Netherlands and Croatia, or this region, let's say. So my idea is that I want to bring money from the Netherlands, I want to bring the technology from the Netherlands, and then I want to bring the knowledge on how to run a greenhouse from there to here. And then, okay, I can continue talking about this for hours, but for me, the ultimate goal would be that, you know, right now you have people from Virovitica, they would move to Zagreb, they would study economics so that they can actually get an office job in Zagreb. If in 20 years from now, if we can accomplish that those individuals that are born and raised in Virovitica, if they would go study agriculture in Osijek, and if they then would go back to Virovitica and manage a greenhouse and make far more money doing that than being an office clerk in Zagreb, then I think that we can say that we have a mission accomplished. Slavonia, in my humble opinion, if you put your money on agriculture, should be the richest županja of Croatia.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Hello, I have
Hi.
a question. How much do you work because of all of these companies? Do you have time for the family and this work and private life balance?
It's a very good question, and I'm happy to say that I've never worked less in my life than I am today. Yeah. So first of all, in our business, Web Power, we were among the first companies in Croatia to introduce a 4-day work week for a full-time salary. So we are working 4 days a week, 8 hours a day, so 32 hours in a week for a full-time salary. And that's again, you know, referring to the importance of being different. So I wanted to be different than all the other companies in Croatia by offering this 4-day work week. And even though I'm involved in many things, Web Power, Crop, the Udruga Digitalni Nomadi, but I always organize myself in a way that those companies do not depend on me. the number one objective in every business that I always start is that the first thing I need to do is I need to replace myself. And because very often what you see when you grow your business, very often owners are the reason why a company doesn't continue to grow. We are our own worst enemy. We are our own bottleneck. Very often, I'm not, but very often you see business owners that are perfectionists. And they talk about it in a way like it's a really good thing to be a perfectionist. And I honestly think it's a very limiting thing to be a perfectionist because you are not able to delegate things. Now, I can tell you that while I was sitting here, I just got a message that we got a new client in Web Power, and I don't even know which company that is. So the business can continue, we can continue doing business development, and we can continue servicing clients also if I'm not there. And that's very important.
You don't have to have a control under everything.
No, I always tell my people, I'd rather have you ask for forgiveness than for permission. Yeah, I really want you to go and do it. And empower. I always empower the people to make their own mistakes and to learn. And otherwise, again, if I would be a control freak, and if I would want to have everything under control, first of all, I wouldn't be able to be here. I would have to be now with my people. And I don't want to manage a company like that. I'm okay in the beginning, first few years. You as a business owner, it's important that you work very hard for your business. But after that, your business needs to work very hard for you. And the only way to do that is by taking a step back and letting other people take control and manage the company. Yeah.
And do you recommend for these young people to have courage to start their own job, not to work for office job from 8 to 4, but to be either the freelancers or to have their own business?
Well, I mean, entrepreneurship, in my opinion, it's a lifestyle. It's not for everybody, especially in the beginning. It's extremely tough. You wake up thinking about the business, you go to bed thinking about the business, and simply, there are people that they don't have either that level of ambition or they are simply not passionate about starting something for themselves. And thank God, not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. We also need people to work in companies. But I do believe that entrepreneurs are the change makers, are the individuals that can really move a country forward. And, sometimes people would tell me like, well, entrepreneurship, it's very risky. You're taking a risk by being an entrepreneur. But what I say to that is that, well, actually, by being an entrepreneur, I just put my money on myself. I bet on myself. I bet that I can do it better than my employer could. Because let's face it, being an employee is also very risky. If the company is not performing well, you're the first one to go out. And if the company is doing very well, then okay, you might get certain promotions. But the person or the people that really have the upswing potential to benefit the most are the ones that are owning the shares. So in terms of risk, I would say it's, instead of betting your money on somebody else, you bet your money on your own. And in terms of risk, it's similar, but entrepreneurs have the upswing potential. And I guarantee you that I would never be able to live what I call Croatian Dream if I would be working 40 hours a week for somebody else. Yeah. So my answer is yes. I definitely recommend you, if you want that kind of a lifestyle, to start your own business. Yeah.
So I have a question. So I see a lot of people moving here from this region to west to work for salary, and a lot of people like you moving from west to this region to open a company and so on. And I want to expand the thing you mentioned. It's easier here to succeed in business than in west because of competition. And why do you think is that way? So many people here, when they are moving to west, they are always moving for the job. Mm-hmm. I never saw somebody, okay, I want to go to Germany to open business or store. I want to go there for work, but so many people are like digital nomads or other people coming here, opening companies, working here, and do you know like why is the reason for that, and how can we use that to our advantage?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think that starting your own business is never easy. Starting your own business in Croatia is very difficult. Starting it in the Netherlands is also very difficult. It's just difficult for different reasons. So in Croatia, you might have, for example, difficulties because of the bureaucracy. In some of the industries that I started, for example, in the call center business, I was among the first companies to do something like that. I couldn't hire anybody with experience. Now with Web Power, I'm again among the first ones, or maybe the first one, to start a business like that. When I looked for an email marketing expert, they didn't exist. So we have to educate our own people. You cannot just hire somebody with experience. Now with the greenhouse, I can't hire a master grower in Croatia. We need to educate. So that's very difficult. On the other hand, in the Netherlands, for example, you might have access to a lot of master growers or experienced employees in certain sectors. But in the Netherlands, you have very strong competition. And you have always competitors out there that have more money than you have. So you need to be very smart if you want to beat your competition there. And, I mean, long story short, starting a business is hard. You just have to understand why it is hard. And if you understand the difficult part, or let's say what defines what is difficult to start a business in Croatia, then come up with solutions by, for example, hiring an accountant, a lawyer to handle with all the bureaucracy, so that I can focus on the product or the service, getting the right people on board, making sure that we provide great customer support, the right pricing strategy. These are also all very difficult things. But that's why you, as an entrepreneur, are focused on those elements. Yeah.
Thank you.
So my question is, what are the most important skills in entrepreneurship that we can easily find on the internet, maybe a course or tutorials?
Oh, well, I'm not sure if I can recommend you any course, any online course, but for me, most important skills, I think you need to be agile, to be able to adjust yourself to what happens around you. And if you are able to maneuver in the right way, then I think that you have a very big competitive advantage. And then last as well, you need to trust people. And it doesn't mean that I've never been hurt in business, that people have never misused or abused the trust that I had in them. I mean, I've also had a colleague who stole 20,000 euros from our business, you know, but does that mean that I can never trust somebody else anymore? No, you know, I mean, I always believe in the good of people, and for me, the trust part will stop once they prove me wrong, that they cannot be trusted, but I always have faith in people that you hire. And yeah, like I already mentioned also in the previous question, if you want to be able to continue scaling your business, you need to make sure that your business doesn't depend on you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah, over there, other side.
I just wanted to know, have you enjoyed your time in Bosnia, and do you think this country has any potential whatsoever? Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I've never been in Travnik, but it's not my first time in Bosnia-Herzegovina. I've been several times also to Mostar and to Sarajevo, Jahorina, Orašje, obviously. And my very first business partner, who I met in the Netherlands, he's actually from Gornji Zovik near Brčko. So I've been around here. And, you know, talking about the potential of a country, the answer is absolutely yes. But especially for entrepreneurs. I don't think that you would necessarily want to be an employee in this country, because very often employee benefits are not really great, salaries are not really great. And then if you look at, for example, things like the cost of real estate per square meter, I mean, I was talking about it yesterday, like an apartment here, it's like 1,000 euros per square meter, right, approximately. And then if you look at the salary here, which would maybe be 500 euros a month, that's already, like, I think, around the average. It pretty much means that you have to work 6 months and not eat anything so you can afford yourself a toilet. You know, these are not favorable things. These are not good things. The most successful people in Croatia, I can say, are actually those that are offering products and services abroad. So they're selling their products and services abroad, not so much in the country itself. I think that, this country obviously has plenty of problems. But at the same time, what is really entrepreneurship all about, it's about fixing problems. And if you fix a lot of problems, and if you fix really big problems, then you can build a very big business with that. And instead of just looking at the problems that we are facing in this country, or in Croatia for that matter, just like I do, I look at problems as a business opportunity. The only thing is that you just have to wait or look. The problem needs to find the right entrepreneur. And once the right entrepreneur meets that problem, and they start working together and they start fixing it, that's when big companies turn out. And that has been actually my entrepreneurial story from day one. Whenever there was a problem, I started fixing it, and these companies turned out into some of them really big companies. M+ Group, the company I founded as a 22-year-old, after I sold it, they did some mergers and acquisitions. They did a listing on the Zagreb Stock Exchange. And this company today is doing more than 150 million euros of revenue per year and employs more than 12,000 people. Yeah, and that's a company that started by me literally carrying a computer in a very small, tiny office on Krbavska 29 in Split. And these kind of opportunities, it's hard to find those opportunities in countries where we say there are not so many problems there. Go do that in the Netherlands. Good luck to build a company literally from 0 to 12,000 in 15 years. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Yeah? Okay, thank you.
I think, is there anyone else who wants to ask question, Mr. De Jong? Yeah, here.
Okay. I'll just get back. Aha, okay, I thought this was the end. Usually when people start clapping, they want me to leave.
Hi, thank you for this inspirational speech and everything you showed us today. My question is, who was your biggest inspiration and biggest support throughout all these years?
Well, then I would have to refer to my mentors. And actually over my life, I've had several mentors. When I was 17 years old, I started working for M+ Group in the Netherlands as a call agent. And then over the time, I got promoted to be a supervisor and a call center manager. And there I had one mentor who taught me everything that I needed to know about how to start and run a contact center business. And those skills and everything that I learned from him, I was able to apply that in Croatia and build a very big business with that. And then my other business partner, for example, Mato, he is this serial entrepreneur who just continues starting businesses. And he's really a genius in terms of ideas, but he himself is not very good in the execution. So what he does is he always surrounds himself with people that are maybe not as creative in terms of ideas as he is, but he surrounds himself with people that are very good at running business operationally. And that's also something that I learned. As I get older myself, even though I'm only 38 right now, but I can definitely not imagine myself working today 80 hours a week like I used to. And as I'm starting to work less and less, my creativity actually and the impact that I have while working less is getting bigger. But I do need to surround myself with people that are very good in the execution of what I have in my brain. And over the years, I usually just surround myself with mostly very positive people, which entrepreneurs very often are, right? That's why what I love about entrepreneurs. Whenever you meet entrepreneurs, we never discuss problems. We always discuss opportunities. And By surrounding yourself with the right people, you know what they say, I think, it's like you are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So surround yourself with 5 amazing people, so you become the average of what they are. And, you know, over time, you also need to understand that as you are developing yourself, sometimes it happens that you also outgrow your own mentor, and that's okay. And then it's time to move on and to find other people that are inspirational to you. Anybody else? Do I have to leave again? Okay.
My question is, what is your feedback after your job?
What is my feedback on?
After your job.
I'm not sure if I understand the question. What is my feedback?
After in your job.
After doing my job?
Yes.
What is the feedback that I'm getting from whom?
Yeah.
From my wife? From?
People, other people.
Well, I mean, what I try to do is I try to create beautiful businesses. And I try to create environments where people feel safe and where they feel inspirational and able to grow. And in general, I mean, of course, obviously not everybody, but in general, I would say that people are quite happy that I came to Croatia and that I started those businesses and that I create not just opportunities for myself, but also for many other people. So in general, the feedback is good, but also I have a fair amount of haters on social media. So they once in a while harass me with abusive messages, but that only confirms that I'm doing something right. Yes.
Mr. De Jong, wow. It was very inspiring, especially for these young people. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Dakle, iza nas je jedan jako uspješan dan, vrlo zanimljiv. Predavanja, paneli, druženje, tako da sutra u 10 sati počinjemo sa novim panelom sa nazivom IT sektor kao pokretač razvoja lokalne zajednice. Vidimo se, nadam se da ćete doći spremni s mnogo pitanja. Ugodan dan.